All right, so today went pretty well. I rewatched my deadlift top set from last week, and 45 and 515 moved about the same. I will say the 515 definitely definitely felt a bit stickier at the top, um, but it looked really good. I do think it could possibly be a problem with my lockout because next week I'm going for I'd say 555, and I don't want to get stuck with my back just rounded and I can't extend it. So I think maybe going back to the top bracing, because that's what I was doing all last block, and I think it kind of helps my trunk get a bit more stabilized before I actually interact with the bar. So my back has a tendency to round over a lot, and if I allow it to, it will become pretty egregious. And I think the bottom bracing, I'm stabilizing everything and bracing when my back is already rounded. So that makes the um off the ground a bit easier, but then the lockout is harder. Um, and I don't really have that much that could help lockout because it's literally just me being hunched over. Uh, so I think top bracing for next week and a little bit in my deadlift secondary would be good. Um, so the reason I switched to bottom bracing is I can't do my working sets without straps because I pull hook and I really don't want to tear anything. Um, Even though my form is pretty good, like just it's getting to upwards of the high 400s, 500 pounds, so it doesn't really matter how good my form is if I'm just putting my thumbs under all that stress. They're gonna open up eventually. So I wanted to, try bracing at the bottom just so that I could have my top sets be a little bit closer to how the strap sets go. Um, and I really don't think it's worth it, especially since I did last month all of my uh all my working sets were strapped, and my top set was hook with a top brace, and form was great there. So yeah, probably just I doubt it's really gonna affect me as long as my muscles are primed, you know, as long as my muscles are primed and I actually know what I'm doing with the bar, shouldn't be an issue. I do want to say that my performance for today was probably a bit worse than it could have been because last week I was just dealing with a lot of stress and got basically no days where I had decent sleep. So today and yesterday were the only days I got, the full amount that I need to recover. So, it's just not really doable. I can't really make up 7 days. I can't make up a week in 2 days. Uh, but it's definitely gonna speed up now that I'm actually into it. Back to eating everything, sleeping good, water intake, and for bench. So I think I am going to switched to sink bench. I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but it did feel a little better to have some extra help off of my chest. And then switching my sticking point farther up is, I think it's going to be a bit easier because my arms are stronger. So like rewatching the videos, it doesn't really look any different. And honestly, soft touch looks a bit smoother than the sync does. But for sync, it really just, I don't feel nearly as much resistance. So it's probably something that's going to show up in the heavier weights because my soft touch sticking point is on my chest. So like if I can't move the weight or if I'm not strong enough to lift the weight, it's just not gonna move. Like I'll just like it'll just stay on my chest. And going a little bit more into the deadlift, I am pretty sure that the mechanical reason for the difference in form and sticking point with my top and bottom bracing is because my back is going to be affected no matter what during the deadlift. And that can either be with the top bracing, you know, my trunk is more stacked. So my entire back kind of shifts forward a bit. Or it could be with my bottom bracing, um, I'm not shifting forward, but my back is just super hunched over. So it doesn't really look like anything's changing until I get to the top and I have like an inch uh, more room to go once everything else is locked out. Uh, so just a slight change that looks pretty drastically different once put into effect with heavier loads. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Don't really have much to say for accessories. They were a bit worse than they maybe should have been. But with that, I increased everything from last week. And with the fatigue I'm dealing with, it's kind of just a given. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it.